go. Weekend is over. It is a fresh new day, a fresh new week. Thanks for sharing your morning with me. I'm JD Green here at Central Vermont's podcast. Live on Aired Out. Live on YouTube and Facebook. Streamed everywhere you get your podcasts. And yes, on the web at airedoutvt.com. This morning's commute, not too bad. To be honest with you, I'll show you some pictures here. This one in Brookfield on 89 South. But, yeah, the road's pretty good for the most part, especially the big road, which we're showing you right now. You get into some of the back roads. I know parts of 302 are still a little slushy, a little slick in some areas. Route 25, same deal. But, yeah, this shot right here of Bethel. So things are moving along pretty well this morning, at least on the highway. But please drive carefully no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing. What a weekend it was. Holy moly. From the Central Vermont Christmas for Kids right here on North Main Street in Barrie. On Saturday, the coin drop was a huge success. The Battle in Barrie 18 was also just massive. It was just something else. Today's National Christmas Tree Day today. And I want to say this. If you got yours at the annual Lions Club Christmas tree sale, thank you for supporting their mission to serve the community in so many ways, not just vision care, but also the hearing aid program that they have, the diabetes awareness support that they always provide to our community. And how do they do it? They do it with volunteers, and they do it with fundraising. And that Christmas tree sale is one of the biggest that they do every year. And thanks to you, it was a huge success. We have a few morning clouds, a cold one ahead today, mostly sunny skies. Highs only going to be topping out around 13 today. That light snow that we had last night, not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. Tonight, -5 is what we have. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, 21. Wednesday, got a few inches of snow, lower 30s, and then Thursday, mostly cloudy, some snow showers, and mid-20s. Birthdays today, Jesse Mastine, Tina Nursoff, we have Jean-Paul Sear, Tracy Downing, and Jared Hart. Happy birthday, Tracy. Didn't know. Know now. Our community calendar, man, it is jammed up, of course. Don't forget, Tuesday, tomorrow night at the Barrie American Legion. Dine in or take out. They do that Tuesday night meal. It's just $12. If you can, please get your order in by noon today. They ask you so that they can plan ahead. It's 479-9058. The meal's going to be served up at 5:30. Keep an eye on the Barrie Post 10 Facebook page and the World newspaper for the menu. I haven't seen what it is for tomorrow night, but it's always great comfort food like shepherd's pie, which I think they just had beef stroganoff. I love it. Wednesday this week, Wellness Wednesday at the Well Space Building right here in Barrie at 23 Summer Street. Started a few years ago. It is so huge. It is so popular. You get in there, free service to our community from Washington County Mental Health. You get to relax, treat yourself to a little bit of a free piece, maybe a chair or table massage, acupressure, acupuncture, all of that stuff is served up, and it is free. Sound healing, the list goes on. But Wednesday is the next one. Call ahead if you would like to arrange a massage. You got to call Robin and just get your name on the list. Again, it's free, 479-4055. So much happening, so much going on this week, and already my weekend community calendar for this coming weekend is just piled high. We're going to run down everything this week. It'll be all over the Facebook page, and I invite you to be part of your community. Get out this weekend and do stuff. Josh Miller is sitting right next to me from Vermont Fatherhood. I am so Honored to have you in here, my man. Thank you so much for doing this. You and I are going to be chatting the beginning of every month on a Monday, and first Monday of the month.
Yeah.
And we're going to hammer out some real conversations about fatherhood.
Great.
Which, I want to ask you, what was the inception of all this? How did you start Vermont Fatherhood right here in Vermont, which we're going to do? But first, it's like, this takes some guts, man, because not a lot of guys are tripping over themselves saying, I gotta start a dad's group, a father's group. Guys are we're a weird breed, man. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. No, it's I'm a dad. I have four boys. I have one granddaughter. And I mean, that's part of the story. I used to work with at-risk boys years and years ago, and one of the things that I noticed in the guys that a lot of those guys didn't have their dad around, and I grew up that way. Grew up without a dad, and just how much that meant. And I went, and this is down in southern Vermont in Brattleboro. I approached a local organization and just asked them if they'd be up for me starting a dad's group. And I did, and it was really successful. And I was really surprised by the response from the guys. That a lot of guys do want to talk about being a dad. A lot of guys want to be, every guy, I mean, they want to be a good dad. That's their legacy. That's their
or a better dad.
Yeah, a better dad, and work on all this. It's hard because it's hard stuff, So that really kind of got the idea of dads. How do we get dads involved and help them? And it's not like I come with all these expertise of let me tell you how to be a better dad. It's about just us talking about what does it mean to be a better dad? What does it mean to be a dad these days, different from 20, 30, 40 years ago when our dads raised us. And so anyway, I've been doing dad stuff since I don't know, let's put that in 2006, 2007, and I really just Barrie. I remember coming to Barrie. Moved to Central Vermont about 12 years ago, and came through Barrie, and I just saw a lot of dads around with their kids, and just felt like it was a good place to try to get something started here. I ended up in Burlington, working with dads up there and families, all moms and dads and grandparents and all that, and but really had my eyes set on Barrie, and I live in the area, and just wanted to get something started here. So I had my mind set on it, and Vermont Fatherhood was born here in May, and so far so good.
Wow. And it's right here. It's like it's not just like, hey, we're meeting at Dunkin' once a week.
Yeah.
This is an actual building. This is a space right here on North Main Street.
Yep.
That's available all the time.
Yeah, it's our space. It's dad's space.
It's your space. I mean?
It's my space, but it's our space as dads to come get together and talk about things, whether it be could be in a group, could be individually. Like if guys want to just, talk one-on-one and aren't group guys, I'll make the time for you, get together and talk about, what's going on. And just talking about it helps a lot, just to, know that, we're all in it together. And I think a lot of us can lone wolf it, I call it. So
how old are you, man?
I am 54.
All right. So you and I are right on the same page. The only difference is you look a hell of a lot better than I do. But you've got how many kids now?
I've got 4 boys.
4 boys.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the age spread?
Okay. It's a good spread. My youngest is 10. Got a couple teenagers, 15 and 17. And then I have a 34-year-old. So I started when I was 19, 20 years old, into fatherhood. Had no idea what I was doing.
But you seem like such a great dad. You do know what you're doing, man. It's like you really got this. You got this going on.
I think
you know what you're doing.
I've learned a lot. And from different people, and being a dad, and you learn trial and error for sure, is the way you learn a lot about parenting. But I think, for me, like not having a dad and being able to be a dad is like, sort of the healing thing. Like,
Sure.
all right, I get to be the dad I want to be. I get to play with the kids. I get to do. I mean, that's my mojo, is playing with the kids. I've done that. Always out there playing with the kids, whatever it is. Football, basketball, wrestling around, playing games, doing all this stuff. And I think that's what probably my best asset is as a dad, is playing with my kids.
Isn't it interesting how so many of us kind of echo the way our parents were, or very much not.
Yeah.
And it seems maybe, and maybe this is just a guess here, but it just seems like more of us become a similar parent than our parents were, or our parent was to us. And that could be a good thing, and it can be a horrible thing.
Yeah.
And some of us who have had some really unhealthy, dysfunctional stuff go on in our early years, it is our life mission that we're going to be, or try to be, the opposite of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
To compensate for that, to give our kids a life or an upbringing that is the opposite of what we had.
Yeah. Yeah. I think sometimes if you have a parent who's really strict, you're going to be the super easygoing, cool parent, not, that has its benefits.
Sure.
It's like your kids are like, oh, Dad's so cool. But then also you have a hard time maybe setting limits and doing some of those other things that we need to do as parents. And so, but I think a lot of guys say, I don't want to be my dad. But then what does that mean? What does opposite mean? And
Sure.
how do we find that? How do we build those skills and find that, path to being the dad we want to be? And I think it's hard to do alone. And I think it's good to hear from other guys, not necessarily me, but there are other guys that how do you do it? And how do you do this thing? How do you get your kids to sleep? How do you discipline? Right. How do you, get them out of bed in the morning? All those things that we
set expectations.
Yeah.
Getting your kid out of bed in the morning. This is a struggle that I'm going through right now, and it's difficult. It's very difficult because when you've got mom and dad, and mom doesn't necessarily see the bedtime hour, the magic hour, exactly what dad does, which may or may not be happening at my house right now. There's some residual stress that comes from this, not being able to get your kid out of bed in the morning and trying to break some habits that are so easy to make. And sometimes you don't even realize you're making them.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like the getting kids out of bed in the morning, and I'm sure it doesn't get better as our kids get older into teenagehood. And,
right.
And, so it's getting kids out of bed, and then, also like what time do they go to bed? What does that routine look like? And then if you are in disagreement with the other parent, how do you figure that out and not send your kid all kinds of messages about what, this and that. And I think, we try our best, and sometimes there's a long game, and we got to choose our battles. Which ones are we gonna fight? But we got to get our kids out the door. I mean, I was my kid's bus, my 10-year-old's bus supposed to come on at 8:15.
Yeah.
And he was in bed at 8:07, and somehow, thankfully, the bus was late today. We got out, and I was like, kind of matter of fact, I know if he's not in his clothes by 7:30, I already know it's going to be a struggle. Because usually, usually he's pretty good. And so I was like, okay, time to get up. This is the deal. If you're sick, you're staying in bed. if you're going to school,
come on, we're always sick on a Monday morning. Come on.
Yes. Nobody's feeling super motivated on a Monday morning. But yeah, we got out the door, man. I mean, this is what I think. All three kids went to school. I was battling with my 17-year-old about getting windshield wiper fluid and taking the snow off the top of his car this morning. And, he's, fronting me on, he knows best. And then my 10-year-old's giving me thankfully my 15-year-old's like, okay, Dad, just gets going. So I had 2 out of 3 battles this morning but they all got out the door and they're at school. So, and I'm here. So win, big win.
Yeah.
Yes.
They know it too, especially if they're watching. Dad won. Wow. It's a job, man. I was thinking this morning driving in, first of all, I was thinking what a blessing it is to have met you, and I'm so excited that you're going to be bringing your message, your mission onto the airways here once a month. And I was so excited about it. But I was thinking this morning, driving in, I'm like, there's dads that are super engaged and involved with their kids and raising them and their lives. And then there's dads that are very much not. For a whole long list of different reasons, they're not. I mean, we could do a whole podcast episode on what those reasons look like and what they could be. But for whatever the reason, they're not involved with their child, or they could be, but they're choosing not to be, or they want to be, but they're not able to be or permitted to be. There's so much going on here. And then there's the dads that are actively engaging with their children and raising them. And for a whole long list of reasons, have many shortfalls, have a lot of work that needs to be done, things that they need to change personally within themselves to be a better dad. They're engaged and they're doing some things right, but they're also doing some things that could be done a little bit better.
Yeah.
And recognizing those things is one thing, but then having the tools and the knowledge on how to go forward and change those things, that's a whole nother bag, man.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think there's so much. I mean, I still, even though I've got 4 kids sort of at this point that I've learned a lot, it's a lot, it's so much to learn. And I think of guys who I tell guys who are like, they have a 2-year-old, which is what really can be a really challenging time in parenting. It's like, you're a 2-year-old parent. You've been doing this for 2 years. We're hardly good at any job after 2 years.
Give yourself a break.
Take some time, and it takes some learning. We got to kind of be able to say, like, hey, I'm just not sure. Say it out loud. Say it to whether it's to a good friend, or whether it's going someplace, or come give me a shout and just say, like, how does this work? And I think a lot of it is we get so in our own world, we don't really know how to ask, guys ask for help, and
Sure.
And it feels like we're less than if we do that. But I tell you, there's a lot of different ideas about how we can parent, and I think just connecting with other people is just so important, and to not get stuck in our way, because we all get stuck in our way. We all get in autopilot. We all struggle through different things. Some things, our work is pulling us in a big direction, and we're just not doing our best as dads. So how do we balance that out? And our relationships, how do we, deal
even with our wives,
piece?
Even with our wives and girlfriends.
Gosh, yeah, it's so hard, like all those pieces, and we were never taught any of that, really. I mean, we grew up and we see it, but those aren't always the best models. So how do we do that? Especially if I want to do it differently, and how do we figure that out? So I think it's really just trying to figure out, talk to other people, and being a little bit, we have this tough guy, I got this, but to be able to say, like, well, maybe I don't, or maybe I got something to learn, and be able to ask the question of, like, how can I do this better?
Right.
I think is important.
One of the things that you and I, one of the rabbit holes that we're going to go down at some point here is, if your relationship with your spouse or your partner is not going well, if it's starting to deteriorate, how do you still stay a good dad?
Yeah.
How do you keep fatherhood intact?
Yeah. That's a great question.
We don't. I know that's a big.
No, it's great. I appreciate the
topic.
question, and I think the first word that comes to my mind is compartmentalize a little bit. Like, I still, even though things are stressful here, how do I still be a good dad and be there for my kids? And that might be part of the stress, honestly, is
Sure.
that we're not engaged enough, we're not being tuned in, we're not carrying our weight in the parenting piece.
Sure.
And so maybe that's causing stress in our relationship. So I think, I don't know. I don't know how everybody's thing is, but, like, I think that, sometimes being just focus on the kids. You really can't go wrong if you focus on the kids.
Yeah.
It's good for you. It's good for them,
Yeah.
and for the whole family overall. It's a good thing. But the relationship piece it's definitely it's separate, and it's all kind of intertwined with the being a dad, and so it's hard work, and it's a long haul. So
My guest this morning is Josh Miller from Vermont Fatherhood, a nonprofit right here in the Granite City of Barre, Vermont. You're located exactly where?
we are at 124 North Main Street. We are right above Wabi Jewelers, so we're in between Amy's Armoire and I guess what people know Maria's Bagels, somewhere
Yes.
in there. So there's Slowpoke is right there, so you really got a big old yellow sign out there, and
yeah.
there's a big old yellow sign on the door. So just come on by and stop in.
Do you need an appointment?
You don't need an appointment. Maybe if I'm busy with someone, then I may have to have you wait for a couple minutes. But I will if you stop in and you show up, and we'll find the time.
VermontFatherhood.org.
Yes.
Tough question for you. Do you have friends who are not parents?
Do I have friends who are not parents? Boy, not that many these days. I'm trying to think. I'll have to think who is not a parent, but generally speaking, everybody I know is a parent. Yeah, and the people I'm probably know the best, closest with, are people who my kids are involved in sports. So we cross paths on a lot of fronts. So yeah,
I've had challenges with some friends who are not parents.
yeah,
And nothing, too serious, but just it's a different world, man. It's a different life.
yeah.
And I kind of thought that I had a pretty solid grasp of what that was before I became a father, and realized that I just had an inkling of what it was like.
Yeah.
But man, it's like my kid comes first above everyone else, and everything else.
Yeah. I think.
And it's not that other things and other people are not important to me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think when you don't have kids, you're kind of like, oh gosh, what am I going to do tonight? When you're a parent, you're like, how am I going to get everything done tonight? You know, it's sort of a different frame of mind, and so it's yeah, and especially if you're the first one of your friend group to have kids, nobody can really relate to you, and you're like, yeah, sorry guys, I'm not going to make it tonight, to your whatever. If you got a pool club, whatever you're doing, you're like, I'm not going tonight, and so I think that's a struggle, when you got to make that transition to new parents. I think that's a big thing to all of a sudden become a parent, and all the changes that happen in your life and your lifestyle and your relationship that weren't there, 6 months ago. You're like, let's go do this. Let's go skiing. Let's go do this. Let's stay up till 12 o'clock. Let's, go party, whatever we're going to do,
It's not it's not that it's bad. It's just different. It's just different.
Yeah. No,
That's all.
Yeah. Yep. It is.
What happens on Tuesday nights over at Vermont Fatherhood?
Yeah, Tuesday nights is our Drop-In Dads group. So 5 to 7, we are there, and it's just getting guys together, talking about being dads, what's going on, what's hot, what's going on cool with our kids, and there's no commitment. You can come one Tuesday and not come for another 12 Tuesdays, and then come back again. And we have dinner, so we have a good dinner, and childcare is provided, so the kids go over another. We have like 4 or 5 different rooms that kids are in one couple rooms, and then the dads meet in another room, and I get the coffee pot going, and we get some chow, and just kind of get to know each other a little bit and talk about what's going on. So it's pretty low key. So, but we have about from 4 to 6 guys show up to that, and always welcoming more to that crew. So.
Let's see if we can get some more dads in there. Yeah. What do you talk about? I mean, is it, is it a little awkward?
I think that for some people who have never been a part of a group, it's probably like, what is this thing? It's probably awkward. What do I have to say? How much personal is it? And I think that, you can be pretty quiet. There's not a lot of you have to sit there and give a speech about your life and
Sure.
all your things. But I think that, we talk about just what's going on with ourselves, check in. We do a, check in what's going on this week. Stuff's going on maybe with school or our kids or our relationships, whatever's going on, all pretty open ended. Guys with a lot of different situations. We have single guys, we have guys who are married, we, really range of different guys that come through. But we had somebody come from WIC and talked about nutrition with us. Talk about
Wow.
nutrition of our kids and of our own nutrition, and I think we need that information. Like, how do you feed your kid when they, you're a single dad and you got a 18-month-old, and what do they eat? You know what I mean? Like, do they eat cheeseburgers and chicken nuggets, or do we need to give them something else? So I think it was really cool for them to come through and do that, and so. But really, it's about guys connecting with each other. It's pretty, again, low key, and again, not to commit. Although I hope once you come, you keep coming and
Sure.
build on your knowledge and everything. But yeah, it's Tuesday nights, 5 to 7. Drop in, and you can just show up. You can call ahead. You can come check out the space. You can bring your kids. You could not, and check it out. So yeah.
Wow. So you get a couple of single dads in there, huh?
Yeah, we get single dads. Yeah, a bunch of single dads. I
Wow.
think a couple guys are married, and guys varying in how much they're with their kids if they're not with their partner, and it's a good range. But I think it's a really respectful space, and kind of it's the what's said here stays here rule.
Yes.
Like you come and Barry and whatever. It's like small town stuff. We want to make sure whatever I say here is going to stay here, and that's pretty. We have a sort of fathers group code. This is how we operate, with each other, and I think that's pretty important to have that.
Very important.
Yeah.
Critical. You've got and when I've been in there and I've had a chance to chat with you, you got some really powerful stuff that's on the walls.
Oh yeah.
What is that?
Well, the one is I call it the man. It's the guy, one of the guys got down. I did a outline of his his body, and we just put up there like, this is the man. This is what we aspire to be. What are the things? And we want to be good role models. We want to be a person our kids want to talk to. We want to be engaged. We want to be doing all the things that we sort of wish our dad did for us. And so. And those things don't necessarily mean things that we are. It's things that we aspire to be. Like, this is where we're trying to. This is our, like, gold stars. What we're trying to get to. And then I have another one up that's kind of like, it's kind of the dark side. It's kind of the stuff that's like tough for us. The struggles that we have, our ego, our pride. Those things come up pretty significant in the conversations. And so I think those things are just like, hey, this is part of who we are. These things are our struggles, but how do we do less of that and more of the man, and being the dad, and also we're limited by our own minds. So seeing what other guys say is really cool. And also, if somebody's struggling with something and you're like struggling with the same thing, it's kind of like, okay, I'm not alone in this. You know what I mean? I think that's super important for us.
I could sit here and come up with plenty of fun and light angles on this, but there's plenty that is not so funny, and that's and I've joked around about this on the air so many times, but being a dad with one kid who is a girl, and a beautiful girl at that, and so many of my friends, even my own brother, have said to me, "You're screwed, man. You just have no idea what you're going to be dealing with." And the whole notion, now that she's 11, of relationships and boyfriends, and what is dating, and what is friendship, and who likes who, and can so-and-so come over, and setting parameters and boundaries and respect and understanding. And I am admittedly not overly excited about this chapter that is coming into my life. If I were sitting with you on a Tuesday night meeting, sharing a piece of pizza,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say?
Yeah. Well, I think
And what would others say?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question. I think it's one is it's a terrifying time and a great time because I think I think a lot of dads, and I would be happy to be challenged on this, but a lot of guys might be like, kind of like, okay, I'm not going to get in this very baby stage, but then when my daughter hits 11 and 12, I'm going to kind of steer clear. That's stuff that's mom's job and this and that.
Oh, mom's job.
But I think that it's an opportunity to like be pretty involved. Like I think that we talk a lot about in groups that I've been a part of is like we talk a lot about how our relationships with our daughters, not myself, but our relationships with our daughters, and how we engage with them and talk with them really matters. Shaping their idea of men and maybe possibly their relationships but like really can shape that. And so conversations around whatever, right? Might be sex, it might be
Oh God, don't say that.
oh my gosh, I said it.
Oh,
It's
God.
true. It's true.
Don't say it.
And so you open the pathway of conversation with them. I think I would say like, hey, what I talk, you don't have to talk about, if they say, oh, I so and so has a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and you say like, well, what does that mean? One of the things we talk about is not giving the answers. I think I would say it's really if you're high end skilled dad, and I'm not in this realm, which is ask questions like, what does it mean to have a boyfriend?
Yeah.
What does it mean to you? And so
I've
instead
been
of
doing
assume,
that a lot lately. Yeah.
we'll see your high powered dad. You got the stuff.
I'm curious what her answer is going to be.
Yeah. I think how you respond to her answer is what's really important. And it's so easy to be like, no, that's not okay. Oh, no, yep. Listen, this or whatever you do is just keeping that conversation pathway open and knowing that you're there for her because the idea is you want to be there for her.
Keeping the pathway open. Those are the key. Those are the key words, man. And it's so many of us can easily and quickly screw that up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's
the way we react.
It doesn't happen any one time.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, right. It's over time though, right? I have to confess. I think it was like 3 weeks ago. I had the conversation with one of my sons. I won't name. I don't want to peg him, but like one of my sons around sex actually, and just talking about that and being respectful, being prepared. How does your girlfriend feel about that? It was actually an amazing conversation. And I would say the fear is that it's going to be really awkward and uncomfortable the whole time, but it also could be a really amazing conversation too. And that's not, maybe you're not at that level now in that conversation, but to be able to talk about things and to be open and hear and listen more than let me tell you how it is.
Yeah,
right. And I think that is really, really important and really hard to do because we have reactions go on when if our daughter or our son say something, we're like, what? Wait a minute, can't do that, and as opposed to just like, okay, and then coming back later after you've kind of thought about it, like, hey, I just want to bring that up again. I want to talk to you about that again,
Sure.
And be able to do that, and again, that's just hard to do. Have the space and the time and the just. Not being reactive to our kids.
And here's me, thinking over the last couple of years, what it was like for me when I met my girlfriend's father, parents, but especially the father.
Yeah.
What was said? Eye contact, a firm handshake.
Yep.
Being prepared to answer questions. What do you like to do? Where do you work?
I think that I appreciate. I think as a man, a firm handshake and eye contact are great, right? That's like you're already halfway in. You've done the right things. If you don't do it, it's one thing. I think the other stuff is how assured are young people these days to be able to say, like, to have a conversation with a man who's looking to approve or disapprove you in your mind.
Yeah.
And to be able to say, like, well, this is what I do, and have that. And I think some kids are really great at talking with adults, and some are not.
Yeah.
And they will fumble over their words and say the wrong thing over and over again, but it doesn't mean their intentions are bad. Just
right.
But I think that it's how to communicate, how to be respectful, and you know, I don't know that I have all the answers for that one at all, but I think that being able to you know meet your kids interested person
Sure.
and to be able to help them feel comfortable a little bit, but then also because it's a relationship, right? If that person's showing up,
Sure.
you want to be able to say, hey, listen, Joey,
Yeah.
that's not cool to do with my daughter. Like whatever the thing is, you can be able to lay that down as opposed to just continual disapproval.
Yeah.
But I think you're in a relationship with that kid if your daughter's in a relationship with that kid or your son's relationship with that,
Right.
whoever they're with, right? Could be a lot of different variations of relationships. But I think that's something that's like, you want that kid to trust you.
Yeah.
And I think especially if they're with your kid. So I think, keeping that window open too of being able to, talk
Sure.
about things.
There is going to be a little bit of, hey, Joey, it's not me that you need to worry about. It's Sherilyn.
Yeah, right. That's right. That's right. True.
Man, there's so much going on here, and I'm thinking of my good buddy Chris Powers, who just became a dad for the first time not long ago, and what he's got ahead of him and in front of him. Stress, joy, change. I mean, these are some of the toughest years, but some of the best years. Yeah. And I remember when my daughter was born, one of the doctors leaned over and whispered into my ear, welcome to the beginning of your new life. Everything in the past no longer matters. Effective right now.
Oh, that actually warms my heart. I don't know who that doctor was 11 years ago, but I have this thing. I just actually spoke at a conference recently about doctors engaging the dad and saying something to them how important
Sure.
their job is as a dad.
Yeah.
That little that 10 seconds of telling the dad that he's important is huge. This is a doctor. Doctor says something, we're like, okay. But that was one of the messages is how do we, tell dads that they're important.
Some of the comments here are great. I remember one day when my daughter came home from school after they had a lesson of the birds and bees, and she had tears in her eyes and looked both my wife and I in the eye and said, we were disgusting. Bradley saying, help her understand safety and safe interactions, how to be responsible, and the difference between positive and negative choices, understanding every action has a reaction. Biggest thing, JD, is trust for you to understand that sometimes children need to be able to make mistakes without judgment and guidance.
Good one.
In place of reprimand.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Some good wisdom
He's
out there.
dialed in, man. Almost seems like he may have been over to Vermont Fatherhood. I mean, reading something like that, that's amazing.
Yeah, no,
that's great stuff.
There's a lot of wisdom out there, about about how to go through these tough times with our kids. Whether you're starting out as a new dad or you're
Sure.
dealing with relationships and all the things that come up in teenagers but that guy sounds like a really wise gentleman.
And here's the thing: it's not like Vermont Fatherhood is somewhere where you're getting up in front of the pulpit here and preaching to everybody. You're really you've learned a lot from other dads. The insight, the experience that other fathers can bring to this. Everyone's unique. Everyone's got a different story, a different path that they're on in life.
Yeah. The one thing one of the things that stands out for me is when you're talking with other dads and listening to other dads, is it reminds us about what's important. And we know this stuff. We know love our kids, engage with our kids, but take a breath, be patient. Listen, talk about safety. Talk about all the things that were just said, you just shared. Like, I think that, oh yeah, right, that's right. I knew that. I heard that. And it reinforces the things we need to do as parents, and then how do we how do we do those things? And I may be one of the more seasoned dads in the group, but I definitely walk away like, right, I need to remember to do that better,
One of my college friends, Guy Babb, who passed away, shortly before he passed away, and we knew his time was very limited. Incredible dad with 4 kids, said to me something that I'll never forget. He told me that our kids are always giving us opportunities for us to respond, to engage, and these opportunities are always presenting themselves, and we're going to screw them up. We're going to miss an opportunity, a learning moment that we could have taught, but we're also going to embrace something that comes up and say, that's my opportunity right there. I'm prepared to respond to it, and I want to take this opportunity and do best by my kid.
Yeah.
Whether it's, we had a rule when my brother and I were teenagers that we had to be home at midnight. We were in our late teens. We were driving, girlfriends running around. One of our friends was at an intersection at about 5 minutes of midnight. The light on the other side was red, had just turned red, and he witnessed my brother flying through that intersection, running the red light, racing to get home by midnight. And he made it. But this kid who witnessed this, who's one of our friends, we were all in high school together, pulled my dad aside and said, hey, I don't want to be the tattletale. I don't want to, be that guy. But I just want to let you know that I was at an intersection and Tim flew through a red light, racing to get home by midnight. So that was an opportunity for my dad. How was he going to respond to this? Was he going to be pissed and, drop some consequences here and some punishment? Or was he going to take a deep breath and sit down and say, I found this out. It's not important how I found it out. What's important is you need to understand that risking your life to be home by midnight is not worth it. And I would rather have you be a few minutes late. Don't do that again.
Yeah.
It was an opportunity.
Yeah.
And he could have chosen a couple of different paths.
Yeah. No, I think we have a lot of opportunities.
A lot.
Daily. Hourly. There's so many opportunities. And I think that we can go a long time without taking those opportunities, whether it is to say something like that, like, hey, Tim, like, I just need to talk to you. Like, listen, I'm not mad. I just want to tell you. I just want to tell you, like, I know that this is something that, like to be home by midnight, and I also want you to be alive. And I love you, and, and I think there are a lot of those times when, whatever the topic is, it doesn't have to be consequential or something you did wrong. And I think that's the important piece. It's not always do something wrong. Oh, Dad wants to talk to me. Oh, boy, here we go.
Right.
It's like how to take these opportunities to say, hey, I'm proud of you. I love you. I really like what you did there. That's really awesome. You know what I mean? That was great. And so often I think as dads we're like, oh, our time to speak, our opportunities are to toe the line. We have to be the one to, make sure that our kids know the law, know the rules of the house. And I think there are a lot of opportunities to, just like I said, play with our kids, engage with our kids, do things, teach them, teachable moments.
Sure.
All these things that we have so many opportunities. And I would just say, if you're on the edge of taking that opportunity and not, take it.
Yeah.
Just take it. Take a chance. And we may not have the right words. The timing maybe not be perfect. Rides in the car are perfect times to have those opportunities to have a conversation. You're not face to face if it's something that's awkward, but I think those opportunities are important for us to take as dads, and that's the stuff. That's the good stuff as dads that we we really can break through some cool stuff when we take those opportunities.
And also apologize to our kids and show them how that even as your dad, get rid of this ego and pride and just say, I got to admit, I screwed up, or I'm sorry that I said that to you that way. I think next time I should think a little bit more before I speak. Yeah. And say that to your kids, man.
I think that we are going to make mistakes. We're going to say things. We're going to yell. We're gonna take things the wrong way. We're gonna do all the things, and repair's a beautiful thing. To be able to come back around and say, you know what, my bad, I did that. That was not the best, and sorry about that. And that modeling is incredible. And I'm sorry. Whatever the things are, and you need to say is, I think you can come back around, and you can patch that up. And I think it's important to. For dads to do that, to model that, like I was wrong, or like I could have done that better. All those things, kids need to hear that from us.
You just said the R word, repair, and it makes me think of fix. Guys, men, fathers, we're always supposed to be fixing everything. Not just the broken bicycle or the plumbing, but we're supposed to, I don't know, man, it's like we have this societal norm that we're supposed to be the man of the house. We're supposed to have the last word. Everything ends with the man. We're supposed to have everything in control. We're supposed to be, when mom can't handle it, dad comes in for the jugular and puts an end to everything and fixes everything. There's a lot of pressure on us.
Yeah. There is a lot of pressure. I think there's a lot of pressure on parents in general. But I think there's this sort of age-old thing of what you're talking about is like dad's the last word, dad needs to fix it, all these things. And I think that
don't make me tell your father.
That's right. There's some truth to that I think it's there to come in and to whatever you got to do, fix things. But I think it's also like important to not wait for things to get till they're broken and do that and be. But I think that there are ways that we can go in and make things better, and there's a lot we can do to do that. And I think the stoic dad who sits back and waits for that moment, I think that's too long. I think that we need to be more involved and engaged, and I'm more of like, let's prevent that stuff from happening and be involved and not wait for that stuff. But there's a lot of different ways to go about it, but that stuff is kind of built in us a little bit to fix things and do that. But I think when I talk about repair, it's really realizing that we were a part of that breaking. If we react to our kids and then to come back around and just say, hey, we could do this better. I could do this better. And I think that that's an important thing for our kids to hear in that repair. And then also to know that you don't have to have the last word in that moment. Let your kid have the last word and say, got it, Dad, thanks. And then you can walk away knowing you did a good job without having to, and don't forget.
Yeah, right.
I got one more thing to say, so.
My brother, and believe me, there's plenty of stories about my brother, but one of them was, we talk about opportunities to be a good dad. parents weren't home. We wanted to play basketball, and my mom's 1970 Volkswagen Beetle was parked underneath the basketball hoop by the garage door. And we all wanted to play basketball. Parents aren't home. My brother says, I got this. Gets the keys, starts the car up. We're all like freaking out. I mean, we're like 12, 13 years old. And first gear is just like in the same spot as reverse. And he thought he was in reverse, and he was in first. And he let that clutch out way too fast, and he went right through the garage door and into the garage and smashed a whole bunch of stuff, including the garage door and the car. The neighborhood kids split and ran for their lives because Dad was going to be home anytime now. And I stood there shaking in my boots. How is Dad going to react? I mean, you're done. You're in a lot of trouble. Dad came home and he saw everything, and there was my brother. And I mean, we still talk about this today. My brother's almost 60. That my dad looked at him and was like, I am so unbelievably disappointed in you.
Yeah, that
I really expected more.
Yeah, I mean,
Pain.
that
The worst.
I mean, there's some mistakes, but that's really going for it. Is everything you could possibly could go wrong in that situation went wrong, and that's a story of a lifetime, right? You just keep going to tell that story for years, right? And Dad comes home and what. he kept it pretty cool, I have to say.
Yeah.
I think I would have lost my
Me too.
Business on that one and been screaming and hollering and jumping up and down and grabbing a broom and shot back and throwing at the boys and telling them they're grounded for, I think, at least until they're 18 or something.
Absolutely.
Like, what do you do at that point? It's hard to know when our kids mess up, like when they do something, and how to be, how to, like, you got to understand the consequences. You can't do that, whatever.
Right.
And how not to shame them for the rest of their lives and whatever.
True.
Taking
it too far.
Take it too far, like all the things. And but those are the things that, as dads, again, how are you going to respond to that stuff when our kids are just screwing up all over the place? That's just that's like a moment in time.
Yeah.
What if our kids aren't doing well in school? What if our kids are, not coming back when they should? That, I don't care about the midnight deadline, or whatever, the curfew, and I'm not doing my chores and all that stuff. And how do you, like, come in there and, just, you have to be the heavy. You have to be the one to, say, like, this is the deal for them, because the lessons, and I tell my 17-year-old, I say, like, man, you just do not, my words do not matter. You need consequences to learn the lesson.
You have to
and
learn.
I think some do learn that way, is like, this is the deal. So knowing our kids, that's maybe what, needs grounding, needs privileges taken away, needs all the things, and to learn those lessons. And it's hard to know, because I tell you, if that happened, with my kids, I think I would I would have a hard time with that one, but we do need to, like, that's a mistake. These guys just want to play basketball. Kids just want to play basketball. So, like, how do you deal with that? And it's hard. That's a hard stuff as a parent to, like, know what to do when you're, upset about something.
Right.
And your kid's not doing what they're supposed to be there. When I was a kid, when my mom or my dad said something, like, I listened to them, and, like, it's like, how do you deal with that stuff? And that's some of the hardest stuff.
And just remember that when there's some big moments of screw ups, that your kids, when they're 60, are probably still going to remember your reaction.
Yeah.
They're going to remember.
The reaction is yes. Yes, the reaction and the reaction. Oh, every time this happens, Dad does this, or Mom does this, Dad does this. Yeah,
That's true.
Dad, you're gonna get, and it's those things do last for a long time, and those reactions get built into our own. Right, and this is what my dad did.
Sure.
That's what I do.
Oh,
This
yeah.
thing, like you just repeat it for better or for worse, right? But I think it's there are these big lessons to be learned on both sides of it. How do you parent that? My son, I'm I'm throwing my son under the bus a little bit, but he started. We saw some money coming out of his account. We're like, what is this money? Didn't recognize it. He was investing in like crypto cash or something. I was like, I have not run into this parenting. Where is the parenting manual on this one, and how do we handle it? And he found somebody on TikTok and blah blah blah. That's like how that goes. And I really didn't know how to parent them without kind of losing it. I'm like, what are you doing? You don't have money for gas, and you're sending money off to somebody who knows who's just taking your money. And so we had to do some research in his phone and all this stuff. But I mean, there's some wild stuff to get into. Is like what we come across now as parents. I mean, and what are the, how do we handle the technology stuff? I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't grow up with,
No.
our parents didn't teach us how to handle technology. I mean,
No.
maybe, it's like maybe the TV was the thing, but boy, that's some new stuff. All the different social media pieces that are out there, and how do we, we want our kids to have phones so we can find them, but boy, they have access to all kinds of stuff that we are not
Sure.
in control of, nor do we have the skills to parent them.
Well, man, you and I are just about the same age, but you're way ahead of me. I have a lot to learn from you with the stuff that you're dealing with right now, man.
Yeah, it's well, I think it's there we all have a lot to learn. I mean, there's so much that's going on with our kids in these days, and things are fast.
Yeah.
And we're busy trying to keep up with our own, just keep the household going, let
Sure.
alone be tuned into what's going on with the kids every moment of the day.
Sure. And keeping our kids safe,
Yeah.
like you say, in a digital world is that's not just cryptocurrency either. I mean, there's so many other things too. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a very different world, and making sure our kids. When we say safe, we're not just talking about predators. We're also talking about bullies.
Yeah.
Too
Yeah.
in the cyber world, man.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother thing, and we're going to go down that road, of course.
That's why I mentioned the pathway open with your daughter at 11,
Yeah.
and maybe that starts at 7, is because that way when she says, "Hey, Dad, what's this crypto cash thing? Somebody told me I can make a bunch of money off it," and you're like,
Sure.
"Well, let's talk about it,"
Yeah.
as opposed to not coming to you
Yeah.
because she doesn't feel safe, because you're going to yell at her every time she tries something new on.
Sure.
And so you close that door, and she doesn't come to you ever.
Sure.
And so how do we keep that open so our kids will say, like, trust us to be able to know we're not going to overreact, we're not going to judge them, and
Sure.
we'll listen to them.
Yeah.
Easier said than done, let me tell you.
Oh yeah. I had an opportunity the other day when, boy, I tell you, when we're alone in the car, the things that she'll say to me, and just said to me the other day, Dad, really, for Christmas I want a chinchilla. So take her seriously, but also let's talk about the responsibilities that come with having a chinchilla. Let's talk about, we could talk about how fluffy and cute they are all day, but let's talk about the smell and responsibility and everything else. And
Chinchilla, huh? Yeah.
allergies. I mean, the list goes on. But she said to me not long ago in the car, Dad, I'm almost in 6th grade, and you know what comes in 6th grade, and I'm like, oh, good Lord, hang on. I'm like, oh God, please, here it comes. Deep breath, and I said, what's that? And she was dead serious, and she said, school dances.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, where are we going here? I think I might know where we're going, but I'm not sure. And she's like, and you know what happens at dances, Dad? And I'm like, no. And she's like, well, so Dad, here's what happens. So sometimes during dances, there's like things called slow dances. And I'm like, really? What's that? Well, that's and she went into the explanation of, I might want to slow dance with another boy. Is that okay? Of course it is. Of course it's okay. As I crack my knuckles. Of course it's okay. That's not a big deal.
Well,
help me, Josh.
She's talking to you, man.
Help.
She's talking to you. She's saying, "What do you think, Dad?"
Yeah.
She's looking for your approval. She's looking for advice on that stuff. And first of all, like you're doing great. Like, and what do you say around that stuff? Slow dancing. It's like, well, you can ask questions like, do you think there's someone you would slow dance with?
Yeah.
And is he nice?
Yeah.
Is he nice to you? Is and I think I am having girls is different than boys, but I tell you what, because none of my boys at 11 were going to even be on the dance floor with somebody or ask a girl to the dance. So yeah, so you're actually you've got that going on, but I think my 15-year-old was the first. Maybe he was 14 when he went on his first dance with a girl, and I think so. Good luck with that.
What are you saying? I got 3 years to prepare for this.
Sounds like you don't have much time. So it sounds like sixth grade is right around the sixth grade dance is right around the corner, and you got to be thinking about what dress you're going to get her.
There is so much that we have to talk about. Wrestling with questions like phones and social media, giving your kids more freedom. Stay tuned, man, because Josh and I are going to be unpacking a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff, and a lot of this. Let's just be honest. Is it's great info and advice or whatever for dads, for fathers, but also for moms too. I mean, parenting as a whole is not easy, especially in this day and age with everything that's going on. There's a lot of stuff that's coming down the pipe, man.
Yeah, a lot going on, and something new every day for us to learn as dads and try to figure it out.
Listen, I say in closing this morning, just give yourself a break, which I think is something that you push pretty heavy to participants, folks that come by Vermont Fatherhood on North Main Street here in Barrie. Give yourself a break. There's no perfect dad out there. Learn from mistakes or opportunities missed so that next time you can respond better, be more engaged, and think about how you're going to react, and try to be the parent. And Sherilyn says it right here. You need to be a team. Try to be the parent that if you say to your kid, I'm disappointed, that's going to have an impact on them. And they're not going to just say, I don't care if you're disappointed. You know what I'm saying?
I do. And hopefully the last words aren't that I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
That is part of the conversation, that
right.
You round it out with, these things happen.
Yeah.
We make mistakes and we learn from them. And I love you.
Yeah.
And go clean up the mess.
Yes. Go. Oh my God, that's so true. Man. Here's the consequences. I think he had to stay with that garage door until it was fixed. Watch over everything to make sure that nothing disappeared.
Yeah. Do a little buffing of the car, I think.
Yes,
too, right?
and some buffing of the car. Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Listen, man, it is an absolute pleasure. You and I are going to be doing this the first Monday of every month. I am so honored to have you teamed up with me and do this. We have, obviously, a ton of stuff to talk about. This is great material, great content, and I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, well, thank you for having me.
Thanks,
pleasure.
buddy. Yeah, have a great rest of your day. Stay warm today. Be good. God bless. We'll take care and be with you tomorrow morning right here on Aired Out.